Okay, so I want to introduce you to someone really special who I think saw the potential in what we were doing. Maybe first, you were one of the first ones, and I think it grooved with how you live your life. And so, thank you, Tari, for all of your support. You always show up for our panels and give your insights. You've been really candid in the past, and I think that would be a fun discussion when you say, what not to do when approaching Novo Nordisk. She'll tell us exactly what not to do, which I think is a really fun conversation. But Tari, can you give us your background and go way back, and how did you end up in this awesome position?
Well, that's a whole story unto itself. Is this on, by the way? Okay, all right. It's kind of hard to tell with the acoustics. But by way of background, actually, let me tell you one of the reasons why I bought into the bullpen concept. And it really has to do with Christian himself. We were at Bio in the Bayou. We sat next to each other at dinner. But actually, I didn't really feel like I got to know you until we actually sat on a panel. And if he thinks I'm candid, he is doubly so. And that means I have a kindred spirit in terms of like someone who's willing to give you a fairly unfiltered, uncensored, not necessarily press-ready version of things, right? And so for that, I joined Bullpen mainly because of you. So, for the record. My background, I'm a scientist by training. I have a PhD in cell biology from the Rockefeller University in New York. There are some people here in the audience that have known me since I was freshly out of grad school and joined the technology transfer, technology licensing business. And I did that for a very, very long time. 15 plus years, to give you some perspective. And then I moved over to pharma. And I have kept many relationships and friendships over the years in the academic sector, but also made friends with investors and talked to biotechs and pharmas trying to get these early stage academic innovations out, and also helped to try to put a few startups together, sometimes successful, sometimes not. So a lot of what I share with you guys in Bullpen is also based on experience. I have seen what works and what doesn't, and now that I'm on the pharma side, I know for sure what catches fire and what doesn't, right? And, the biggest complaint I get is, you never give us meaningful feedback. I'm like, are you giving me meaningful information? Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that role. You've been recently promoted.
Yes, sir.
So, we're filming this. This will be, yay. So give us an update on what you're doing at Novo.
Yeah, so to give a little context, I first joined Novo Nordisk a little bit over 4 years ago, and initially my responsibility was to do scouting, the search function for business opportunities, focusing on the Western US and Canada. I live and work out of my home in San Diego, California, because I absolutely refuse to leave. And thankfully, I've worked for companies, institutions that have allowed me to have that flexibility. Trust me, you can work from anywhere. I think COVID's taught us that, so it really shouldn't be any different now. And it was good. We were in buy mode. We still are. We had resources. So joining a company that was literally in that transformation was really part of the reason why I joined. The new role that I have that started in April of this year is I moved from being on the team to leading the team. So I run the global scouting function for the company. And that means I have a team of about 5 people spread across the world. So everybody works remote. I have one person in Europe that will go into headquarters and R&D. But for the most part, we are independent but highly collaborative because we have to work with our internal stakeholders. My biggest ask is always, please leave your house once a week and go engage with your ecosystem, right? And we'll have a few people from Novo Nordisk running around bio as well, including a few people from my team. So it's a tremendous honor and privilege, to have this role. It's a lot of responsibility. And really our goal is to really build a very strong pipeline. We're 100 years old and we want to be around for at least 100 more.
So Novo Nordisk is owned by the Novo Foundation, is that right?
Correct.
How does that work from a funding standpoint? Is Novo independent? Do you work with the foundation?
So the Novo Nordisk Foundation is one of the largest nonprofits probably in the world, and they are our creator and owner. I call them the parent, and Novo Holdings, which consists of Novo Ventures, Novo Seeds, as well as Novo Growth, They are our sibling. Their sole responsibility is to invest the wealth of the foundation. The wealth of the foundation, part of it comes to Novo Nordisk, the pharmaceutical company, but we also take a big chunk of our profits and give it back into the foundation. So between the three of us, we have a pretty healthy supply of resources to deploy, right? And so a lot of it for my company will go into internal programs, but also into external collaborations and relationships. And if you've seen us over the last couple of years in the news, we've done a fair amount of deals. I did about 5 last year myself. So, and that doesn't count what everyone else is doing. And just last week, we announced 2. And so we hope to have many more. And so we are the progeny of the foundation. So I personally do not have connectivity, but I do know where essentially my paycheck is coming from.
Very interesting. Okay, so first of all, thank you for making those investments. We need more of that. We need more exits. We need the big guys stepping up. With that being said, what's going on with the macroeconomics and how you see deal making over the next year? You can maybe talk about your mandate a little bit. We always ask you that. I'm sure it gets old for you. People should know Novo's mandate at this point, but tell us a little bit about that, the deal making environment for you.
Well, one thing I've learned in this business, you can't assume what people know and don't know. But Novo Nordisk, the pharmaceutical company, we started out in diabetes, remain very devoted to trying to find transformative therapies for diabetes, right? We were one of the first to actually produce insulin on a commercial scale, first starting in Scandinavia, and we probably hold about 50% of the market. From there, we moved into obesity, and it's kind of hard to not talk about obesity nowadays and with all the drugs that are on the market, and we share that market with a few others. And we plan to continue to be a strong presence there. So diabetes and obesity are our top priorities. We will always look very early. We are willing to double down, take multiple shots on goal. So that's the dirty little secret in pharma, right? If it's a high priority, we'll go insane over it. Right? And we'll go early, and we will also be willing to go late and pay the premium on it. As you go lower in priority, you need to see later stage things. You need to see clinical proof of concept, right? And especially as we start to fill the pipeline at all stages, right? We have to look for the gaps. So after diabetes and obesity comes chronic cardiovascular disease, so that's atherosclerosis and heart failure in particular. And we have a few other indications, and then we have also been able to branch out into chronic kidney disease as well as MASH. And those last 2 is where the innovation bar is very high. We also have a very healthy rare disease business unit, but they have their own BD. So I do not do search for rare. They do their own. But I can't turn a corner without running into a company that's trying to do something in a rare orphan indication. So if it's on strategy, I know who to pass it on to. So in many ways, my group we are the wide mouth of the funnel, and we try to progress things as best as we can.
You have the coolest job.
It keeps me busy,
yes.
For sure. But your question about the macroeconomics and the deal making. So there's always 2 sides of the coin, right? The good side of the coin is that both in the academic sector as well as in the biotech sector, so the small to medium-sized companies, there is an appetite for deal making because we provide potentially non-dilutive funding, right? We also can potentially provide a very healthy exit. So we see an increased appetite and willingness. So if my inbox was busy before, you can just imagine what it's like now. So that's a good manifestation where you're like, oh, maybe someone I've been courting for a few years is now actually more open to partnering and more flexible, right? Because after the 2021 froth, a couple of companies, who were, let's just say, a little high on themselves have now kind of come down to reality. So that's the good thing. The bad news is that these are very challenging times, which leads to, it's a little early in the morning for me because I'm from the West Coast, a little desperation. And with desperation comes, I'm just going to call it what it is, a very annoying persistence and unwilling to listen to the feedback. I know you guys have to be persistent. I know you guys have the conviction. But if I say no, right, and I will give you a reason why I am saying no, don't go behind my back and go parent shopping. Because if you start to talk to my CEO, if you start to talk to my TA heads, it's all gonna come back to me anyway. And now I have to do the work again, right? And so I get these are really hard times, and I will try to give everything a fair shake, but you have to be on strategy. If you are not on strategy, it is unfortunately an instant decline. Because again, now we have so much coming in, we also have to prioritize where are we going to actually put our resources, right? And we are a 70,000 person company, but even within R&D, there's only so many teams that can only take on so many partnerships and collaborations and so forth. And by the way, we've been going through a whole transform and storm period. This year alone, we've had massive restructurings internally, and we're coping with that too. So, I mean, right now it is business as usual, but business is a little crazy.
It is, and you have been so open to this community, and I know that it creates this stressful situation for you in your inbox, and also with how people approach you. One of the things we talk about in Bullpen is she's told us what her mandate is. She's put it out there for us. We know what she's working on. Tari is a wonderful person, but a 15-minute call just to have a cup of coffee throws her day off, right? Or reaching out to things that are off strategy for her on the business side, it's tough. So I know that that's happening in your life, and you still come to things like this, so thank you very much. She is going to retreat into a one-on-one meeting area. If you'd like to talk more with Tari, you can kind of follow her out. But we are going to move on to our next guest, so let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much, Tari Suprapto.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm totally willing to talk to people as a group as well, so.